Well, thank you all. After a technical rain delay of some duration, we are finally ready to go with the Sportico Live Baseball Valuations Business of Baseball event. I checked the starting score here. I went to the official scorekeeper, and we're charging the starting technical pitcher with 2 walks, a wild pitch, a hit batsman, a balk, and 3 throwing errors. But we've gone to the bullpen, and thankfully, Randy Levine, president of the New York Yankees, Stan Kasten, CEO, LA Dodgers, joining us now. They will be handled by Mr. Peter Schwartz and Kurt Badenhausen. Gentlemen, enough of me. Take it away.
I think Scott just there listed my stats from my days in the North Toronto Little League, late 80s and early 90s. But thank you so much for joining us, Randy and Stan. And, given that rain delay, I think we ought to just dive right into it. And Randy, I wanted to begin with you because when we had our NFL valuations event back last August, we had Dallas Cowboys ownership on. They finished atop our list, but according to our assessment, the Yankees are valued at an even greater number at $6.75 billion. And the Cowboys ownership at that time said we wouldn't even sell for $10 billion. I'm paraphrasing how they said it, but they said $10 billion. So I'm wondering, kind of just out of the starting gate here, is there a price at which the Steinbrenner family and their partners would even entertain an offer for the New York Yankees?
Well, thanks, Peter and Kirk and Scott. It's wonderful to be here with you guys. I appreciate it. That's a question for Hal and the Steinbrenner family, but I've heard them say on many, many occasions that, the Yankees are never for sale. George used to say, picture right above me, that, the Yankees are like the Mona Lisa, and there's only one of them, and you have to hold it for life. So I don't see that ever happening. The family is very much involved, generations of the family, and all committed. So you never say never, but I've never heard anybody even entertain.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. And thank you for your patience. I'm in the Sportico offices and overlooking the steps of the New York Public Library on Fifth Ave. And for those who know the public library, patience and fortitude are a big part of it. And it's been a big part of getting this season off the ground. And I guess if you guys could just speak about, from your team's perspective, and getting this season, unlike pretty much any other, getting the season up and going, what that has taken from your ball clubs from a patience and fortitude standpoint.
I'll go first. Basically, it was a little better than last year. I think last year was a brand new experience with all of the protocols and negotiating with the Players Association and getting people in the midst of the heat of the pandemic, getting players and staff acclimated. I know Stan feels the same way, that the priority was keeping everybody safe. Safety was number one. Playing without fans was unusual. I mean, walking into this building, Yankee Stadium, and basically having nobody here, just a few people, was weird experience. I think this year we learned a lot of lessons. We, thank God, have the vaccine. Most of our players, the great majority, and staff have been vaccinated, so it makes things easier. We're playing a full season, but it's a tribute to our players, our staff, people who run this stadium operations, to have brought us to where we are under really tough circumstances. So it's quite unusual. We have the stadium, we have games, and we have a vaccine center going on here at the same time. We're 20% capacity, which sounds like, after last year, like a full house. Our fans are here. We just got, yesterday, Governor Cuomo allowed us to go to 33%. So things are trending back at normal, but it's been a very, very unusual year and a half, I should say.
Well, for me, everything Randy just said applies to me too. As you know, in California, we had some very stringent measures early on, but now We are at the point in this pandemic where our cases are among the lowest in the country. So we are starting to loosen up, thankfully, after an unimaginable amount of work over the last 12 months dealing with hurdles. We've gone from last year where it was just me and 10,000 cutouts to little by little, we're up to about 15,000 fans a night, which is only 27%, even though in California or in LA, we're allowed 33% right now. But until the 6-foot distancing thing gets reduced, we can only manage 27%. Because of that, we have started a pilot program in the last few days with a fully vaccinated section. That will help us get our numbers up, and it was a success. So I anticipate for our next homestand, May 11th, we're going to expand that program to many more seats, many more sections. On the road to what our governor has expressed publicly, his hope is that we return to normal by June 15. Now, a lot has to happen between now and then, but that's the course we appear to be on, and I know we're all hoping for that as soon as possible.
And that means normal being 100% capacity at Dodger Stadium?
Yeah, I think we'll all still wear masks, even though even this morning the CDC has slightly tweaked their guidelines, although not for large gatherings like at ballparks. For us, it's an additional burden because we opened up a brand new 2.5-acre entertainment plaza last year that no one has seen until fans came this year. It's still only a little less than 50% open. So by June, we're hoping to have the whole thing going, but we're opening it up little by little. And even those people require masks unless you're eating, etc. But we're managing. You know, as Randy said, we all had hurdles and we overcame those hurdles. To play a whole season, in our case, it turned out pretty well. And we're all starting off this season with the same kind of hopes. Again, in our case, we're getting ready in 22 to host the All-Star game that we missed out on in 20.
Stan, you're reading my mind, because my next question for you is actually about some of that acreage around Dodger Stadium. We've seen a lot of teams, the Rangers, the Braves, the Cardinals, to name just a few, that are building these ballpark villages. The Giants are another, at all different kind of stages of development. The Dodgers ownership owns or co-owns hundreds of acres around Dodger Stadium. I'm wondering what you're planning to do with that land. You mentioned 2.5 acres of that just now, but are there any grander designs you're able to share with us today?
There's nothing I can share with you today. The 2.5 acres that we have developed were contiguous to the ballpark. They were parking and dumpsters a year ago, and now they're this magnificent fan amenity area. But the other, call it 250 acres, there are a lot of things being discussed. We have nothing to announce today, but awful lot of big ideas that cross our desks and that we think about and that we look at. But as I said, I don't have a timetable for you.
And Randy, the Yankees are in a little bit of a different position in the South Bronx, being in such an, in the middle of the largest urban area in New York in terms of adjacent real estate, largest urban area in the country, I should say. So I'm wondering, given that and given the fact that the team's ownership recently sold part of its hospitality business, where are the Yankees looking next to boost value outside of the core ballpark? Outside of the core ball club, if not stadium operations or real estate? What's the next kind of partnership or adjacent business that the Yankees are looking to maximize?
Well, I think we never say never to anything. I mean, we were front and center in creating, the most watched regional sports network in history, Legends. We're always out there looking. We own a piece of course, New York City Football Club, and we're moving closer to hopefully announcing a new stadium and a whole bunch of amenities around that. I think a big revenue stream here in New York and everywhere is going to be mobile sports betting, which was just legalized here in New York. And we're talking to a lot of people. We're in a lot of businesses. We have partnership in the restaurant business. We have partnerships in other sports. Of course, we have the Pinstripe Bowl and a college football program. And a lot of people come to us with ideas all the time. In addition to the Yankees, we have Yankee Global Enterprises, which is sports and entertainment company. So we're open for all ideas in sports and entertainment, as long as they're sound, and we have great partners. I think the success that we've had is the partners that we've had. In every one of our businesses, we've had partners who are great people, who are trustworthy, whose brands are the equivalent in stature of our brands, and who have the same goals in mind. And I think that's the key. So I can't tell you, we are working on a few things, but I'm a great believer in not announcing them until they're done, because that's only fair to the parties who you're dealing with.
Well, I'm putting the cart way ahead of the horse here, but you mentioned possible sports gambling investments. Amazon is a partner of yours with respect to the Yes Network. I'm wondering whether there would be any types of issues for Amazon in terms of involvement with sports betting.
No, I don't believe so. They're a minority partner. I don't believe that there are any issues. And it's really exciting. I mean, here in New York, it's brand new. It's just a couple of weeks old. The state's going to put out a request for proposals. They just put out RFQ last week. So it's really exciting. And I think, the combination everywhere that's going to be successful is you have providers who provide the infrastructure here in New York to allow the bets to take place. And that's going to be an RFP for that. And then you have, obviously, Indian tribes who have casinos and do very well, and casinos who do very well. They know how to take bets, but where teams like us or entities like us come in is we have what's the most important thing. We have the customers, we have the viewers. So when you're thinking of putting a group together and you have the Yankees and, we're partnering with our TV partners, the Brooklyn Nets and the Yes Network and New York City Football Club, you have a lot of viewers. You have a lot of sports customers all together. So we think we're a great partner with a casino, with an Indian tribe, with a provider. We're talking to everybody. And those are going to be the kind of entities, I believe, that are going to be successful, because the state are going to want entities that are proven successes in order to make money. Because the whole reason for the states to do this is to receive as much revenue as they can.
Randy, last week, Sportico broke a story that the Wilpon family was looking to sell SNY, and Steve Cohen is among those people that was interested, and there was talk that he's coordinating with the Yankees, whose investors obviously include Sinclair and Redbird Capital, and has an extensive RSN connections. I guess can you expand on any of that Sportico story from last week?
I can't, because we have I've signed NDAs, but at the end of the day, obviously there's nothing imminent, nothing going on. People reach out to us all the time to see if we're interested in certain situations. We, the Yankees, me personally, have a very good relationship with Steve Cohen and his team. They're doing a good job over there, but we'll see what happens. There's nothing even close as we speak now that I could add to your story.
Well, on the subject of RSNs, we were reporting during the bidding process for the Mets, and one of the potential buyers said at the time that RSNs are, quote, melting glaciers, and to some extent our reporting on the valuations bared that out, with the large exception, predominantly, I guess there's a couple of exceptions, but the largest exception is Yes, which continues to thrive. But I'm wondering, Randy, looking ahead 5 years, cord cutting has been an issue for cable channels in general. 5 years from now, what will RSNs look like? What will Yes look like? How will streaming be integrated into the RSN business model?
I think the answer is nobody knows. I believe that the pandemic has accelerated things. But I was talking to a cable carrier just the other day who was telling me that some of the cord cutting has abated because some of the streaming applications have become so difficult and so hard to put into place. You have to jump through so many hoops that people are just saying, hey, let's just keep the bundle. It's easier, But I think you have to be prepared for both. We're prepared for both. We have very strong partners, Sinclair, Amazon, one on the linear side, one on the digital side. And, Amazon has started to stream some of our games. And we're working, we just created the Yes app, which is getting rave reviews. We're going to, has a long way to go. We're building it out. It's going to have a lot of stuff on it and operate, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with programming that's different than on our linear channel. Some the same, some different. So you have to be prepared for both. Obviously, streaming, a lot of young people, that's the way they watch the product instead of traditional cable TV. So we're going to try and put all our effort into both and be prepared for the industry as it goes forward for as long as we can. And I think regional sports networks have a long life, and it's like everything else today. I think it comes down to the content and product that people are watching and what market you're in and, what do you have to offer. So I think there's plenty of time. I think, the gloom and doom around RSNs is overblown. I know it, yes, we've taken a hit because of the pandemic, as of all the businesses in sports and entertainment, but we're starting to climb back right now. And we have to be creative. You have to give people in today's times more than just the games, more than just the interviews with players. It has to be interactive. They want an appetite for everything revolving around our teams, everything revolving around the business of what goes into our teams, and so forth. And that's what this is about, trying to produce content that's exciting, that's fresh, that's different.
We're getting short on time, but before we leave you, Randy, I want to ask about the upcoming CBA. And the big market teams took the biggest losses in 2020, are going to take some of the biggest losses in 2021 with limited capacity and then no fans at the games. And you guys have also obviously had the largest revenue sharing bills, you and the Dodgers and the Red Sox. I'm wondering how you look at the CBA with the extensive revenue sharing and how that negotiation shapes up in light of the huge losses that you guys have experienced in 2020 and now in 2021.
Well, those conversations we'll keep internally. Great confidence in the commissioner and Dan Halem. Our owner, Hal Steinbrenner, is on the Labor Policy Committee, and those things are left to be discussed in private rather than in public.
Randy, thanks so much for joining us. I'm so disappointed that Stan's internet was in and out, because what happened yesterday with the Dodgers really shows the perfect reason why we're here. I don't know if you saw it, that they're changing providers for the Dodger dog, that you've got concession and trademark law coming together to bring a sports business story that I know our readers just consume voraciously. Just totally interesting. You just never know what you're going to do from one day to the next, right? I mean, as president of the Yankees, you just know in the sports business world what you may face in a particular day.
No, every day is a different day, a different challenge, and I wasn't aware of that. But we get all of these kind of issues very different, and that's why in these jobs you got to be able to hit 3 pitches.